Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Let's do some local sports roundup to kick off because it is busy. It is very busy going on right now. And I know last night we had a lot of girls basketball action, and it was a very good night for a lot of local teams here. I mean, Eau Claire Memorial won, Rice Lake won, Baldwin Woodville, Elk Mound, Durant, Arkansas, McDonald Central, the game you were at, Eau Claire Emmanuel Lutheran, Owen Withee, Aleva Strum.
Right.
All won. Right. So
this is shaping up to be quite a Saturday for girls basketball. A lot of these games are pretty close to home, so if you want to go watch one, you got no excuse. Yeah, I mean, starting in Division 1 with Eau Claire Memorial, they go and they go over to Stevens Point and they beat Neenah.
Yeah.
And I mean, right now, like, I think the best thing you can say about the Old Abe's, like, they're just taking care of business.
Yeah.
Like, you look at all throughout the playoffs here, you know, going back a couple rounds, they play Marshfield. As we know, Marshfield's always a solid team.
Yep.
And they go and they beat them by 20. Then they go to play Neenah, a team from the Fox Valley Association, which is a great conference. Beat them by 20. Like, now they've kind of got another FVA team in Appleton East, who's kind of been a bit of a Cinderella here in the Division I postseason. Scored the upset win over Spash last night on a near half court shot at the buzzer. So, you know, this is obviously this has kind of been something that for that Old Abe's team has been building for the last couple of years, and you know, now obviously the opportunity is right on their doorstep. They've got a chance to, you know, with one more win, get to state for the first time since 2001.
Yeah.
And you know, that game's tomorrow at 3:00 in Marshfield, so that's not a far drive away if you want to go check out the Old Abe's.
So yeah, I mean, we went through that list, and there's going to be a really good chance you or even like our good friend Justice.
They're
going to be busy,
right?
trying to cover all these. But
yeah, Division II. I mean, Rice Lake and Shawano are going to be playing in Mosinee. And right now that game's scheduled for 7:00 tomorrow night. Keep in mind that while these locations at this point are pretty well locked in, the time might fluctuate just because if there's conflicts with like boys basketball regional finals, they're not going to run a girls basketball sectional final at 7:00 at the same time. The same school might have a boys team playing, and that's something that like in Division 4 as of right now, McDonald Durant Arkansas is scheduled for 7:00 in Altoona, but that obviously might change if the Max and or Durant Arkansas win tonight in boys basketball. That I mean, I would just wouldn't be surprised if at some point during the day that game gets moved to 1:00 anyway, and then that's kind of the general one we've seen here. Timing wise, Division 3, Baldwin Woodville, Elk Mound playing at Eau Claire North tomorrow at 1:00. That's a rematch from last year's sectional finals where Baldwin Woodville won. Last night, Elk Mound picking up a tight win over Wisconsin Dells to advance and move a step away from state. Eau Claire North is going to be hosting a doubleheader tomorrow.
Yeah,
they got the 1:00 game between the Blackhawks and the Mounders, and then at 5:00 you've got Owen Withee. You mentioned them earlier. They're taking on Eau Claire Emmanuel, another team that's kind of been a bit of a Cinderella, even though that is a good Lancers team. I mean, that's a team that's went on the road here and got wins over the top three seeds in that half of the section: New Auburn, Webster, and Solon Springs last night, and they've done it all by double figures.
Yeah,
and obviously we can go back to the fall and see what the Lancers were able to do on the volleyball court. There's some carryover there with some great athletes that are on the basketball court here, and on the Owen Withee end of things, it's kind of a similar story. I mean, they're taking care of business, coming off a solid win over Rib Lake. And one of these teams is, they're going to be punching their ticket to the Division 5 state tournament next week.
And I know because you were at the McDonald game last night, and that was a close game.
Wild game.
Yeah.
Wild game, back and forth game. I mean, one of the more kind of wild back and forth, lots of different things happening games I can recall being at. But, McDonald picks up the 62-61 win over Cameron. They'll advance to face Durant, Arkansas, who took care of Colfax in the other sectional semi. So, that's a rematch from early in the year. That was, early in the year they met. McDonald won that game, but it was a close game. And I think these are two teams that are much better than they were then. So, I mean, one of those teams is going to state. And we also mentioned too elsewhere in Division 5. I mean, we've got another with Aleva Strum. They're still alive. I mean, that they won a Dairyland matchup with Blair Taylor, 64-61, and the Dairylands has been a good conference for girls basketball this year, and obviously with a couple teams still alive, that's kind of proven out. But Aleva Strum is the 2 seed, and they'll take on Barneveld, who is a kind of a blue blood of small school basketball in the state. That game will be tomorrow at 1:00 at La Crosse Logan. So, as you said, a very busy schedule here coming up on the girls' basketball end.
Yeah, and I know for the boys, you kind of alluded to it. It kicks back up tonight and tomorrow.
Right, regional semifinals tonight. Obviously, Eau Claire North and Eau Claire Memorial is one that's going to get a lot of people's attention around here. But there's a lot of other really, really important matchups too. McDonald going up to Ladysmith. That's one where I think that a team that wins tonight could also might have a decent chance to win tomorrow night. I mean, they're going to face either Colfax or Clear Lake. I think there's an opportunity there for a few different teams. Honestly, I think you can almost make a case for almost any of those 4 teams out of those. But in Division III, we got Bloomer hosting Adams Friendship. There's just so many matchups coming out there, and then like I said, it's for basketball here. It's boom boom. It's very quick. I mean, by then tomorrow night we're going to be down to sectional qualifiers for boys basketball, but it comes and it goes quick.
Yeah, because for some of these teams, it's their first games, right?
Right.
Coming in here
for a lot. Yeah, for many of them, especially in like Division I. Mm-hmm. This is the first game for both the Old Abes and the Huskies, and it's the first game for say a Hudson who's going on the road to Stevens Point, or So yeah,
Turtle Lake,
Turtle Lake, and there's Turtle, because I'm trying to remember if Turtle Lake got a bye or not.
They did.
They did get it as the 1 seed. Okay, because I wasn't sure about that in Division 5, but right, and there were more byes in the larger divisions, but there were a fair amount of them in 3 and 4 as well. But Altoona going to play Elk Mound, which is kind of some of those. I mentioned this when the bracket came out, but some of those Division III matchups to me are very interesting.
Yeah,
with Altoona and Elk Mound. I mean, that's an Altoona team that can put the ball in the basket.
Oh yeah, Coach Pauly over there.
Oh yeah, and you got Stanley Boyd going to Arcadia. That's an interesting matchup. GET taking on Berlin, and the winner there will face either Bloomer or Adams Friendship. Like that's one that I could see going a bunch of different ways, and it wouldn't surprise me.
So yeah, we'll have probably. We will have a little bit of a clear picture after tomorrow night's games and such too. So as we get a little bit closer to state, because then they'll be at this time next week will be
Girls State.
Yeah, and then boys will be where the girls are right now.
Correct. So, correct. Yeah, and girls hockey obviously last night down at State, the Eau Claire Area Co-op. I mean, one heck of an effort against Central Wisconsin. I mean, Central Wisconsin and Bay Area, those are really the 2 prominent year in and year out kind of juggernauts of girls hockey in the state. And for Eau Claire Area to take them to overtime, I mean, I have to imagine that team's they're going into overtime and they're not flinching at all. That's a team that has played overtime in 2 of their 3 previous postseason games. True. But early on, Central Wisconsin gets the goal to get the win, but that's a heck of a season. Coach Stowe and that group making that run from the 3 seed I mentioned. Those first 2 games they played in the postseason were overtime games, including a 5 overtime game.
Yep.
Like there's just obviously I'm sure it's a bummer right now, but just nothing to really hang your head about on that one. I mean that's a great run, and taking one of the preeminent teams in the state to the absolute limit is that's a lot. That's a lot to be proud of there for the Stars.
Exactly. So yeah, and then I know on the boys' side, was it Somerset's
Amory?
Amory
picking up the win over Somerset in the middle border battle. So they tomorrow they'll place Tomahawk in the Division II boys title game,
which surprises me because just going back, Tomahawk was in our conference, Lumberjack Conference, to see that was their first state win. Tomahawk.
Right, because they've been there a few times before.
So
but they're getting the breakthrough with the win over McFarland. So in Division I, those boys games are today. They'll be dropping the puck here a little bit later this morning. You've got Brookfield, who was a state finalist last year. They'll be in action taking on Madison Edgewood. And then you got a couple powerhouses in the other semifinal with Wausau West, who obviously beat Memorial last week, and Green Bay Notre Dame, the defending state champs. And then all those title games are tomorrow.
So, I know Gymnastics State's next week.
No, Gymnastics State's this week.
Is it this weekend?
It's today.
Is it today?
It is today.
It is March 7th. I was thinking next week was...
Yes, okay, so today is the team competition. So, most notable for our area, Chippewa Falls McDonald's in action down there. They won the sectional last week. They set a new school record for their score, just shy of 147 points, which that is generally in the ballpark of where you want to be if you want a legitimate shot at a state team championship. So they're going to be in action. That gets going, I think, at like noon today. So got a chance to talk with the co-op a little bit earlier this week, and coming off that effort, they really kind of felt like it was the first time this year they were firing on all cylinders, and they weren't fully firing on all cylinders because they had a couple falls in their beam routines that actually cost them some points. But that's a Chip Falls McDonald team that's got 3 seniors on the team, kind of leading the way with Ava Krista, Ella Spaeth, and Lily Schultz. And we kind of talked when we talked about it, but without actually saying it. Like, they understand, like, this is an opportunity. Like, the last few years they've been on state, they finished third a couple years ago. They finished fourth last year, but they were still 3, 4, 5 points behind the heavy hitters. This year they said they don't feel that way. Like, you even look at their scores and, like, they're right there with. And the southern part of the state is always so strong in gymnastics, especially teams where you need the depth. And they're going in today saying, hey, this. None of us would flat out say, hey, you could go do this, but you could tell just there was a quiet confidence, like, hey, if we go and take care of business, like, this could happen. And then tomorrow you got the individual competition, which there'll be 4 Chippewa Falls McDonald girls. I mentioned the 3 seniors, but also Peyton Grunwald. There'll be an individual action. That's kind of the unique thing about gymnastics is they advanced to stay as a team because they won the sectional team title, but then they also were top 4 of the top 5 individual all-around finishers, so then they get to go and compete in the all-around competition.
Okay.
And then also there's some individual events. Basically, if you finish the top 5 in an event, you go to state individually.
Gotcha.
So they can, like, you can go and you can win like a state, floor exercise championship, but you're going to be doing all of them because it's still going to all count towards your all-around score.
Gotcha.
And then in Division II, you've got some Rice Lake representation. They were down there as well, but then as a team, but also individually as well. Bloomer Colfax with a couple of competitors going down, and Selena Hess and Ellen Nelson. So they'll be in action tomorrow. But that's down in Wisconsin Rapids, and that's we're getting right to it.
Yeah. I know it's not a sport that's going on, but I just saw you posting about it. Bloomer football.
Yes.
Going to be looking for a new head coach.
Yes. Longtime coach John Post is going to be retiring. He's retiring from both coaching and also from teaching. He's a longtime teacher in the Bloomer district, so he's stepping down at the end of this school year. He's got he owns a business. He's got a family he's looking to spend more time with. I mean, he's just felt like the time is right, and those are other things he kind of wants to be able to do, and he's going to take the time to do them. So I mean, 21 years as the head coach there. More than 140 wins under his belt, 5 conference championships. They were a game away from state in 2011. I mean, that's a Bloomer team that, they've always been so competitive and consistent in the Heart of North that to the point where after a while, him and I would joke about it with him because every year when I would go to talk to him at the start of the year, and one of the things I asked coaches, what are your expectations? And he would say the exact same thing. He would always say, we want to finish in the top 4 of the conference. We want to make the playoffs. So it got to the point where I would just say, so John, you guys are going to finish in the top 4 and make the playoffs? He goes, well, that's the hope. But yeah, just someone that's had a lot of success at that school. Yeah, and I mentioned not just as a coach, but also as a teacher. So another one. I mean, and this is it's kind of ironic that it comes a couple months after Jeff Koenig steps out Stanley Boyd. I mean, those are 2 coaches that took over their respective programs in 2004.
Oh wow!
And they've both had a lot of success and. We'll see who ends up as the new Bloomer coach. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of very capable candidates. And yeah, it's just going to be kind of a bit of a new era there for the Blackhawks once we hit football here in August.
Yeah, definitely. Quick notes on some local colleges. Well, Stout-wise, today for women's basketball, they begin the national tournament, and UW Stout, remember, is hosting some of the games. So UW Stout women's team is going to be taking on Ripon College. Softball is down in Decatur, Illinois, in action there for the Blue Golds. We've got, it's the Y Championships for gymnastics, too, so that's going on. Women's lacrosse for the Blue Golds taking on Edgewood. Softball is taking on St. Norbert's, and that's actually going to be at the Sonotech Center. So if you want to check that out and watch some softball in the Sonotech Center, you can do so. And then I know indoor track and field is going on at lacrosse, but also big hockey games coming up. The women's team taking on River Falls for the WIAC championship, and the men's team taking on River Falls for the WIAC championship. So men's team, a little bit, I mean, this is a little bit of an upset for those two. They were able to get through. Men's team defeating Points. I believe River Falls defeated Superior. So that one's at Hobbs. So chance to clinch a spot in the national tournament's on the line for that men's one. So yeah, a lot of stuff happening. I mean, you mentioned it, prep base or basketball spots to go to state are on the line. spots to go to the national tournament for hockey's on the line this
Oh,
weekend.
yeah, by the way,
so.
track starts next week.
Oh, that too. So, holy crap. So, lots going on. And I haven't seen it, but Blue Gold Baseball was supposed to be at Carson Park. I don't think that's going to happen this weekend, but
well,
you never know.
Well, if you clear it, look, the weather's supposed to be great on Sunday. If we can maybe give them a little help to clear the Carson Park off.
Yeah, maybe. So
maybe you see that cool new scoreboard.
Yeah. But I know they just they got their season started off at U.S. Bank Stadium and picked up a couple wins too. So that's your local sports roundup, brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. Our good friends over there at Carpet City Flooring Center. Are you thinking about new floors? Well, make your vision a reality at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether it's soft, luxurious carpet or tiles or luxury vinyl planks, they've got the perfect style for every space. Their huge selection, unbeatable prices, and expert installation make upgrading your home easy. Not sure where to start? No problem, because their flooring specialists are there to help every step of the way. Their entire team will work with you from step one to the finish line, helping you find the perfect floor for your home and budget. And don't forget, if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere, Carpet City Flooring Center will match or beat the competition. Stop dreaming and start designing. Visit Carpet City Flooring Center today and step into something beautiful.